Hey guys, it's me, Froggy. Pre-recorded message. Once again, we are covering Beyond the Map's Edge, a treasure hunt in the form of a book, poem, Netflix show, and I guess some music by Justin M. Posey. All right, we're going to cover the story, The Obsession's Oath. This is what I call a twin or double chapter. This is right after the story called The Cable Conundrum. So both of them take place in Justin's professional world, software engineering world, tech world, however you want to call it. I don't know if you can say both of them take place in Washington. I think you could say the majority of both of the action for both stories take place in Washington. So that could possibly, help you out there. All right, and then for those who do manage to stay and watch the whole show, this will be a quick one, probably about 20 minutes. There's some extra thrown in at the end for you guys. All right, getting into it. The Obsession's Oath. So we start out with a crisis, right? South Korea's, which is funny, there was a crisis kind of ending the last story. This one starts with a new one, although this one's not Justin's fault. Unless that's one of his secrets that he'll confess to. Maybe he did cause the South Korea financial system crash. But we'll see. Anyways, so we get through. I think one of the big things I take from this introduction is the introduction of Ed Prattis, right? So he's kind of a mentor. Justin's looking up for him, describes his characteristic calm. Anytime a poem word appears, we want to take note. For me, steadiness, right? We're toward the end of the poem. We're looking at a river's steady flow. So there's not too many instances of steady in the book. So what I've done is I've branched out and looked at, just ate a Five Guys burger probably too fast. I've looked at any other forms of the word steady, steadily, steadiness, I don't know, steadied, I guess. And so that's what I noticed that right there, right? So if you're looking for like a river steady flow, maybe there's something about Ed's actions that might help you out with that. All right, another interesting line that brings back, I don't know, for you anime nerds out there, Ghost in the Shell, right? So we wrote code that ran the world. Sometimes the world wrote back. I'm not an expert in it by any chance. I don't think Justin is a weeb or really in anime. I haven't really noticed too many overt call outs or references. You can make anything fit if you wanted to. But I think the concept of a bug in the code is interesting. I wouldn't put it at my top 2 research list, right? All right, so then we get in to a little bit of mindset about Justin, right? This is a very important story in my mind because it's the title Obsession's Oath. And if we go back to the very beginning, there's not a clear-cut instructions or how-to, but the closest thing we get to it is what Justin says. He learns about a decade of treasure hunting, right? And so he learns it's about the obsessions, right, of the treasure hunter or the creator, right? So I'm looking back. Probably should have marked this before. Let's see. What you get is an obsession laid bare. You might find clues to my treasure hunt scattered throughout this page, right? I use that pretty importantly. I'm probably missing it right now. But anyways, obsession's a pretty big thing, right? Learn the obsessions of Justin. Maybe when he's writing about them, there's some clues or some guidance we can pick up on. So Justin is obsessed right now. It's not about making money. It's about solving problems, right? Deep problem solving sends a vibration through your skull. A low hum that builds and builds. This is a direct quote. Sorry, I should have said that beforehand. That builds and builds until your brain feels wired directly to the power line, right? That's kind of the type of energy that comes from deep problem solving. I don't know if I've ever personally experienced it. Hopefully I'm doing some deep problem solving and not just deep rabbit hole digging with these videos and with these clues. But I guess time will tell on that, right? So there's a little bit of the why and the how that Justin gets from at least his corporate world, right? My career shifted like tectonic plates beneath my keyboard. I like that because it's a visual image of, instead of saying my career rose, right? I like how he says shift like tectonic plates, because tectonic plates, when they meet, one always goes up and always goes down. Our resident geologist, expert, spatial can tell me if I'm right or wrong on that, but it's my interpretation and understanding from like 8th grade earth science that whenever 2 plates meet, one always goes up and one always goes down. I don't think they could both go down, or they can both go up. I don't know. I probably should have looked at that beforehand. But I take it as a very descriptive and clever way to say that his career is going up, right? So my career shifted like tectonic plates beneath my keyboard. Again, call out to a keyboard. Does it have something to do with the lock that he shows on Netflix that's resting on a keyboard? I don't know. Just interesting. Doing the call outs here. That's what we're doing. Going on, he describes his different worlds, right? So Microsoft moves into Disney, moves into a couple others, right? Some small startups. I do like the way he worded this. This is not a clue thing. This is just me finding humor in the way he words this, right? A startup, he mentions a startup where the CEO awarded stock options to the winner of a limbo contest. And he says that's a particularly cruel form of compensation because it assumes both physical flexibility and the company's continued existence, right? So that's a little bit, I don't know if I'd call it dark humor, but it's just morbid humor, I guess, right? Giving you a prize, investing you forcibly into a company who may not exist anymore. All right, here we go. Another aspect of, I've called this out in another video about the raccoons, all the raccoon mentions, right? So this is page 138 in the hardback. The office kitchen lights would hum at 3 a.m., right? He's staying up all hours of the day. He's, he's working on deep problem solving, right? And so he'll call out to President Bush administration, which Bush. This is pretty interesting to me. I hadn't caught this on the first couple watches. So he says his vacations to the Rockies are a distant memory, right? Again, we're looking for memories in time. That's kind of my theory about the first and second clue. And so distant memory is his escape to the Rockies. Now he says vacation meant the occasional weekend in Vegas. I wouldn't really pick him as a Vegas guy. I'm wondering, in my early research of Microsoft, I hear some stories, especially the early days of, company trips, boys trips, a bunch of software engineers with money going to Vegas and doing what guys with money do in Vegas, right? Having a great time. I'm wondering if there was like a corporate pressure. Justin doesn't seem to me the type that's going to give in to peer pressure, right? But maybe that was the culture then, all right? Hey, we're going to go blow off steam. Where's the vacation? We're all going to go to Vegas. His words are very vague, right? He describes it as quick, structured, urban. I don't know. Yeah, I guess urban is a contrast to the wild. I can see that. Quick and structured, very, he doesn't have a lot of time to do it. I'm not going to dig too deep in that hole. I just found it interesting. This part right here, right? I missed this the first couple times. Listen to this. The mountains that had once been sanctuary, cathedral, holy Trinity, right? Of Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. I assume when I say that, you know what I'm talking about. The mountains that had once been sanctuary became theoretical places, reduced to conference room names. Remember that. And now we have, where's it at? Microsoft split the difference. Professional, but increasingly casual as the years wore on, are building a maze of identical corridors and conference rooms named after mountains we'd never climb. It's not the exact same words, but it's the same meaning. And it's on the same page and only split by one paragraph, right? Again, I can't let this go. If at the end this has nothing to do with it, I'll be a little disappointed, right? The whole concept of alliteration, repeating, and doubles. This is the same page in the same story where the almost same idea, almost verbatim, is conveyed, right? So once again, in case you missed it, the first mention is are building a maze of identical, double, corridors and conference rooms, alliteration, named after mountains we'd never climb. And then skip one paragraph, next paragraph down. The mountains that had once been a sanctuary became theoretical places, comma, reduced to conference room names. Again, it's not the end of the world, right? This isn't like a mic drop moment. It's just looking at the patterns in the book, trying to deep problem solve, and hoping that we came up with something, right? I don't know if it means anything. It's just my little lizard brain, which, by the way, that lizard meme has me in a chokehold. If I figure out how to get that, I'm probably going to throw it in a video somehow. Anyways, so that was interesting, right? Moving on, Justin's body starts to, get more and more twisted, which maybe this is foreshadowing of his leg injury later on. I don't know. Not the knee tibia one, the hip one. But, so he goes on, you don't balance an obsession. You feed it or it feeds on you. So it talks about his obsession feeding on him. Stiffness in the shoulder, twinge in the lower back. It describes him, the floor phase, right? He's on the ground wedged between desk and a wall, laptop on his chest, debugging code, right? The visual I'm getting here is he's like laying on the ground, contorted, doing code because he's so wrapped up in this problem solving, right? One of the other big things I want to point out that I hadn't really said before was, where's Ed's death? Here we go. He's deep in problem solving, and I kind of skipped over about his successes, right? So he does mention that, yes, the money came, right? Stock options, bonuses, startup acquisitions. Startup acquisitions is interesting to me. I can see if I'm a successful software engineer, which I'm not, but if I'm saying, yeah, the money came, bonuses, okay, I get that. Stock options make sense. Startup acquisitions. Normally a company acquires startups. Is he saying that he himself acquired startups? I don't know if there's been any mention of that. I haven't, not that I can remember. That would be interesting though if he himself acquired startups. Like him and his buddies went in together and bought a couple companies or flipped a couple companies. I don't know. I'm not really well versed in the realm of what software engineers do with their excess money. But I assume that he meant the companies he worked for acquired startups, and that just gave him more work, right? But I could be misinterpreting that. Anyways, I want to call upon Ed's death because Ed is introduced in the beginning. There's not too many stories where Justin references a member of the family outside of himself, right? We have the doctor, the friend Jacob, a couple friends of friends growing up, MPs, right? But now here we have him mentioning Ed, kind of a mentor figure, right? I don't know if I'd go as far as saying a father figure, but it was someone professionally that he admired. And he talks about his death. And here we go. Ed's death barely registered as an interruption in the flow of code. So I can see how that's just adding reinforcement to how busy he was, how caught up in the world. But listen to this. The end of the story. A single line of code can crash an economy. Call back to the beginning. Where an afternoon bike ride can end a brilliant mind, right? Call back to Ed's death because they describe Ed as dying on his way to work, going down a hill. Where else in the book does someone have a massive crash going down a hill, right? Concrete Kiss. Also in the Derailed Duo, although I don't think Derailed Duo, which is coming up pretty soon, specifically mentions a hill versus just a car going out in front of them. So that's 3 bike crashes in the book. And then, again, I don't have an answer for you what that means. Yeah, it's just fascinating, right? And then we're gonna get into Tucker because well, not the next chapter, but the next 2 chapters we'll have Tucker. And so here's the kind of lead into that, right? He talks about this realization led me to Tucker, a companion who wouldn't let me disappear into digital realms for days on end. I did clock that reference of realms. It hasn't been fruitful to me. A lot of people are looking for kingdoms and realms and brides of kings and realms. I didn't really have much success in the digital realm, but maybe you will, or maybe you'll find a place in Washington where this seems to take place that will provide some fruit or something successful. But that's pretty much it. I don't know. I'm feeling kind of amped. I went through this story pretty quickly. I think I covered all the main points I wanted to cover. I mean, there's some small stuff, right? Union Hill is capitalized, so do we look into it? He mentions ActiveX controls, which is a type of technology, but it has the word X in it, so we're going to look into that. I don't know. I'm still keeping it pretty high level, and I'm doing my best to fight my own personal bias and losing most days because if you haven't heard, I have a place I think the treasure is. My tickets are, I'm going to fly there. I'm not going to drive there. And I've got 2 stops. I'm going to stop, pick up my search partner. We're going to have a great time. So I've got my flight booked to my search partner. I'm like 99% sure of where I want to book the flight, but I'm going to hold out another couple days. 1, in case Justin announces something crazy that throws my soul out the window. 2, in case I'm like really going through with a fine-tooth comb. I've got it narrowed down to one of 2 or 3 spots. But it could change which airport I fly into, so kind of just looking at that. And what else? I'm a talker. I'm a sharer. I like to share what I think is cool. I can feel myself getting that rooster energy going in, and when people are on Discord talking about stuff, I want to feel like I know it, but I don't want to be that guy who's like, oh, I know what the answer is, but I can't tell you. So I'm really trying to mute myself as much as possible, so I'm not annoying. But I will slowly over the next couple of weeks leak out what I think my solve is. One, in case anybody has a really great point against it or a reason why that can't be the case, they'll save me. I'll just spend time in the place I'm going instead of, and it'll be a tourist thing instead of a retrieval mission, right? So stay tuned for these next couple of videos. Most of the time I'll throw them at the end as I slowly leak out the answers and solves to what I think I found, right? We don't know. It'd be cool though. All right, so that's a short video. That's coming to the end. Right now, you should be seeing something really cool coming on your screen. All right, I think it's cool. All right, talk to you later. Bye.
Now listen, all you treasure hunters, searching all around for plunder. Do you need some help to be your best? There's something that you're trying to find, but you're about to lose your mind. So come on, listen in to Estes Quest. Estes Quest, the show where he'll be sharing clues. Estes Quest will chase away your searcher's blues. He's solving puzzles with a smile. He'll help your theories pass the trial. He's welcoming you here to be his guest. Now listen close and you'll be told the clues to where he's hiding gold. So come on, listen in to Estes Quest. Come on, listen.